Hello friends, welcome back again to my Revit learning space. In today's session, we are diving deep into dimensions in Revit, of course one of the essential tools for preparing clean and accurate layouts and details. In this tutorial, I want to handle how you use the dimension tools in your layouts. So to access the dimension tool, head over to the Annotate tab on the ribbon, then under Dimensions panel. You'll find several types of dimension tools tailored to different use cases. Let's go through each one of them. The aligned dimension is the most commonly used tool. It creates dimensions parallel to the selected elements, even if they are slanted or at an angle. You choose this and click the first point, then the second point to place the dimension. Let me say I want to dimension these footings like that, then the second point. Then when you're done, you click outside like that and escape twice. Linear, this one here, this tool creates vertical or horizontal dimensions regardless of the object's angle. Then the angular dimension, this is for measuring angles. For example, a diagonal brace or a ramp angle. So you basically click two lines or two edges and place the angle value. The radial and diameter are for dimensioning arcs or circles. So basically, we click the arc or circle to place the dimension. Same as arc length, spot elevations for displaying, of course, the height or the elevation of the selected floor or point you're trying to bring to attention. Then the spot coordinates displays x and y coordinates of any point. Then slope, this is to define the slope of say ramps and roofs or slanted footings in the units that you set, say percentage or degree. So let me illustrate using the aligned dimension tool for this tutorial. These others, we shall handle them later, but they are the same almost. So when you select the dimension, head over to Edit Type. Let me illustrate these options as you can see them changing here. Then the type, there are so many types that come with Revit. Say I want to create my own. Let me change this to ISO and use 4 millimeters and choose OK. Then here we have so many options that I want to bring to your attention. The first option is the leader type. I like this set to arc. What this does, if I move this dimension off this line, this tool defines how that dimension will be linked back to this dimension line, whether by a line or arc. The leader tick mark is set to none, meaning that this arc that will be created has no leader. Let me show this. Let me zoom in here and kind of move this dimension off this dimension line. There is an arc created, as you can see. You can also always turn off that leader, but if it's on, let me come here, edit type, and you choose a leader tick mark. Let me say arrow of 30 degrees and choose apply. You can see how it is shown. Then show leader when text moves. Then you can select here an option based on your preferences. Then the tick mark. Now this tick mark is this one that shows where the dimension terminates. It is set to arrow field 30 degrees. You can change this the way you want. Let me change this to 15 degrees. You can see that becomes smaller. The line weight is set to 1, the weight of this dimension line. Let me choose that to 2. Then the tick mark line weight, I'll leave it as 4. Dimension line extension. What that means is the extension here at the edge. So if I set this like to 2, choose apply, You can see that's what it does. The flip dimension extension line, same thing. Witness line control. You have two options of gap to element and fixed dimension line. I like it set to fixed dimension line such that I don't have long witness lines like these ones. If I choose apply, you can see it is fixed to the dimension line, irrespective of how far the dimension the element you are trying to dimension. Then you can always edit the witness line length and the extension. I like these to be the same. The witness line is from this dimension line going this side where the element is located. Then the extension is the other side. I like them set to the same value. So if I set this to 3 and this to 5, the witness line extension, which is this one up, will be longer than this one, like that. But let me leave this as 2. If at all it is gapped element, let me illustrate that. It means it will leave a gap from the element you are trying to dimension to where the witness line starts, and that witness line will be as long as how far the dimension line is from the element. For example, if I pull this up, you can see what happens. If at all, let me say, select this and type CS. Let me dimension this and this. You can see that this witness line starts from here up to here. Then this starts from here to here. So it's up to you to choose which one you want, but that's what the gap to element option does. Then you can adjust the witness line gap to element, then the extension. The gap is this small gap you see here, then the extension is the one at the back. But I'll choose this, the one I like. Then the center line symbol, you can choose. Then the pattern of the center line, then center line tick mark. These don't apply to this, but if at all you have a view or detail you want to dimension and this app is applicable, you can change this from here. Then the color is black, and you can change this also. Let me use this. Under text, you can change the width factor of the dimensions. Then I want to leave these options unchecked, underline, italic and bold. Then the size, change this to 4. Then the text offset is the offset from the dimension line to the text. I like this set to 0. Then the read convention, horizontal, is when you want all your dimensions horizontal irrespective of the direction, but I'll leave this to up, then left. Then the font, I'll choose ISO. I can pull down and scroll through, but I'll type ISO and choose this one here. The text background, I'll leave it as, I'll choose transparent. Then the units, I'll leave this as use project units. If at all you want different units, let me say meters, you realize that this changes to 7 instead of 7,000. To convert automatically, even if it is inches, to convert all your measurements to inches. I'll leave that as that. Dimension prefix and suffix, you can add whatever you want. Then alternate units, if at all, let me remove this center line mark. Then if at all I want alternate units, say I want to indicate this as millimeters, then down here indicate feet. This is the option I use. I come here to alternate units, under none, I choose below. If you want them on the right, of course you choose right, and add a prefix because I don't want to confuse the reader. If you choose right, it is better to add a suffix. A suffix. Is it prefix? Yes, which will be space. It will be comma then space. Then the units, you can choose say feet. That's how it will look like. You can see millimeters, then the space, then the feet. Of course, the feet are to 0 decimal places, but if it is say 2 plus us, and I show also a unit symbol, that's how it will change. So let me remove this and place the dimensions once again. Then also this side. And down here. Then also the overall center to center dimension. And click the center line of the footings like that. Then here, let me change this to remove the alternate units, none. Then the size should, let me increase it a bit like that. Select these and use your arrow key to pull them down. Then my grids, adjust them like that. Yeah. I also want to point out that you notice that we are dimensioning the footings. What about if you say you have to dimension the grids? Of course, it's the same distances. But what happens is if you have to adjust, say, by pulling down like this, you realize that the dimension goes with it. The dimension is around here. You can see the dimension adjusted the position. So what I normally like to do, let me undo, is if I want to dimension all the grids, I miss out at least one grid and dimension an element that is at the location of that grid. When Revit notices that the dimension doesn't dimension entirely grids, it will not adjust the location of that dimension. For example, if I selected this grid, then came here to edit witness lines, you can always have new references for your dimension without having to redo it. When I select this, now the references are being highlighted, as you can see. If I unselect this reference, I now see that it has added up the 7,000 and this. Now instead of selecting the grid, I'll select the footing or the column or the wall, whichever, they're all in the same grid like this. So in that case, even if I adjust the extent of my grids, this dimension remains where it was. So in the next tutorial, we shall handle these options under the detail category, the text, and the tag category.